back to the 2v2 with 24 seconds left. Breeze goes into the site, commits to the plan. DGT's moving forward. DGT's done it. EG are not going to the major.
Basically in the end, it just really made me feel like I was being watched 24/7. Like I had no room to breathe.
Usually, for any team, at any point, losing your IGL ahead of an event should be like a terrible thing. And there's something in the air of people talking about Nico and his ability to be an IGL at times, Stewie fitting the bill for an aggressive space taking, and then we're thinking, wait, hold on a minute, is that actually gonna work?
Modesty, nothing. Stewie, what can you do? It's a double from Stewie. The 2K. Oh, make it the 3K, baby!
Think about what is this tournament for us. This is f***ing destiny that we are in a f***ing grand final, and I want you today go to sleep and imagine that we are taking this trophy. Imagine f***ing winning the game.
Are you starting to feel more comfortable, more confident?
I think I saw a tweet that 5 years ago I won an event here. It feels the exact same.
In the smoke, Hunter. He's touching the opponent, but G2, they're rolling right through. And a wondrous week ends with G2 as champions. Stewie is back home, and G2, for the first time this year, can call themselves champions.
All right, so before we get into the video, just a friendly reminder to please like it if you enjoy it, sub to the channel if you haven't already, and maybe even turn on notifications. We really appreciate it. All right, so in real life, stories don't always end the way you think they will. And Jake Stewie2K Yip's time in Counter-Strike was full of surprises. Some good, some bad. Stewie became a legend when he and the rest of Cloud9 defeated the FaZe Clan super team at the Boston Major.
Look at the time, there's 7 seconds, they've got the bomb! They're trying to build pyramids, but there's no more play! Stewie's won the round, we're going to overtime!
Cloud9 have done it! They came back all the way!
But what happened to the roster shortly after was equally surprising. The team, which was already going through issues before the major, decided, member by member, to part ways. Stewie spent the rest of 2018 on Brazilian rosters SK and MIBR before returning to NA for 3 years. Stewie's bombastic brand of Counter-Strike seemed a perfect fit for a new-look Team Liquid. And there too, he helped shock the world.
Trying to bring it down to the 2 versus 1. If it's RPK that's dropped, they could be in serious trouble. That should do it. There we go. It's Team Liquid, and that's what it means to them.
But after Liquid faltered and a schism formed in the roster during the pandemic, his new team, Evil Geniuses, failed to make it out of the American RMR. Stewie became a streamer shortly afterward. Like many teamless CS pros, he dabbled in Valorant, and even played qualifiers for the VCL with The Nation, a roster that included Wardell and Brax. But Stewie didn't really land anywhere after that. And part of that might be because his teammates' view of his attitude leaked right as he left CS. In June of 2022, an PV interview with former EG assistant coach Evie revealed that Stewie and the coaching staff hadn't seen eye to eye.
Stewie, il nous a mis des jolis clutches, etc. Alors, j'ignore pas le fait que si vous regardez ses stats HLTV, il a 0,55 de rating contre du top 5 mondial chez EG, donc son niveau est extrêmement questionnable. Et le truc, c'est que il se remettait plus en question en tant que joueur. Et c'était pas un bon lead. Donc, à partir de là, c'est très difficile.
When Stewie snapped back publicly, it was clear that whatever happened, there was some bad blood.
The fact that you even brought up my rating, don't you think that I'm aware I fucking suck? That I'm putting the team in front of me? That I'm worried about the other side of the map?
But he also admitted that he had sometimes struggled with his attitude.
Like, I understand my attitude is not the best. I'm a guy who does not like to lose. Anyone who's been watching me, anyone who's played on my team knows that. Like, they know that winning is everything to me.
The EG collapse was the last major event in Stewie's professional Counter-Strike career, and the drama might have been the last time many mainstream CS fans saw his name in the headlines. For someone who had been at one point North America's best, it wasn't a particularly dignified ending. But against all odds, Stewie got another shot. G2 Esports was a team looking for a sign. The roster had seemingly all the pieces it needed to win big tournaments, but it just couldn't. Between Munacy and Nico, G2 boasted 2 of the best players in the world, backed up by solid players in every other role. But the last real success for G2 was IEM Cologne 2023. A top 4 finish at the Copenhagen Major was also a disappointment, given the ceiling for this team. But it didn't seem like IEM Dallas 2023 2024 would be their bounce back tournament, because Hooksy was going to be at his sister's wedding, not playing Counter-Strike. Now, typically, we'd see a former G2 member subbing in so they could field a roster and compete. Jax was the likely replacement for the team, but because he had played with a random mixed roster to qualify, he wasn't allowed to move to a different roster for the event. G2's stand-in ended up being Stewie, which, despite his long break from Pro CS, actually made a lot of sense. Toward the end of his career, Stewie had taken on more entry fragging duties, and Nico had controversially dabbled in IGLing in the past.
How is this working? Does Stewie just take over and try call his way, or who's doing it?
No, I'll be taking over the IGL. I mean, that makes more sense. It would be stupid for Jake to come over, or like for any IGL to just come over and like kind of try to call. So we'll basically just use the stuff that we already had. We're gonna try to just implement him in Hooksy's role.
Plus, Stewie didn't need to figure out a visa or travel internationally.
The smoke criminal in the flesh. How does it feel to be back, man?
Definitely exciting. A lot of familiar faces. I think it's an environment I've been away from for a while. Kind of brings the flair back out and kind of revives it a little bit.
Suddenly, G2 was an honorary North American roster set to compete on home soil. And there was genuine excitement even before the first game was played.
Usually, for any team at any point in any universe, losing your IGL ahead of an event should be like a terrible thing. Like we should all be talking about, oh no, how are they gonna do? They don't have their leader, it's gonna fall apart. And there's something in the air of people talking about Nico and his ability to be an IGL at times, them having fun, Stewie fitting the bill for an aggressive, space-taking people, and then we're thinking, wait, hold on a minute, is that actually gonna work?
But with the world's best teams converging on Texas, it didn't seem like G2 would go very far. For one thing, G2 had almost no time to practice with Stewie, and the practice they did get was under poor ping conditions.
I tried playing with them while they were in Europe. It was a little tough. I was playing with 170 ping, but the objective was just trying to get a feel with them and kind of know their tendencies, get some chemistry going.
Now, it wasn't like he hadn't touched a mouse since 2022, but Stewie hadn't been in top-tier competition in any esport for over 2 years. G2 bested Falcons in a fairly uneventful Anubis, but their first true test would come in the next match. Team Vitality were the #3 ranked team in the world, and they handled G2.
Here he comes. Next up, charges in, does well to isolate the first, but there's a flash, there's a frag, and there is a playoff spot for Vitality, the first team for the Intel Extreme Masters.
Now, G2 still had a chance to get out of the group through the lower bracket, but it would be a hard road.
They will need to break the smoke and then a flash and then a look. Turn.
Oh, exposed! Can't run out of bullets, but Stewie still found one. Jimmy's only got low HP. They need to be on the bomb now, and it's Jimmy to save Mouse. God, that got close. m0NESY, nothing. Stewie, what can you do? It's a double from Stewie. The 2K. Oh, making the 3K, baby! Hoping that's enough, but m0NESY seems to be putting the nails in the coffin. A multi-kill from m0NESY as G2 look to throw the knockout blow. It was 9Z that put them down here, and it's G2 that throw the knockout blow.
And then, to get into playoffs, G2 had to take out Team Liquid on home soil.
Considering his options, sets his attention towards the ramp. Stewie crouches in, and Liquid! Some absolute robbery! And they find Stewie. Stewie controls the spray. And m0NESY's rotated through. They spot the Ruins player. Stewie does farm up 4 kills, almost doubling his kill total with the anti-eco. Taz can't quite believe it.
Celebration's already beginning. Hands are off. Nico knows exactly what this means. And the final kill for Nexa. 13-11. G2 have eliminated Team Liquid and locked themselves in for the playoffs at IEM Dallas for 2024.
Amazingly, G2 were through to the playoff bracket. Although by this point, most people were calling them G-Stew. Because however far they actually got in the bracket, fans would now be able to see Stewie on the big stage. And that meant NA was in the bracket, even if Liquid and Complexity hadn't made it. But in order to survive the single elimination bracket, again, something no one was expecting a few days earlier, G2 would first need to defeat FaZe Clan. This truly seemed like the end of the line for G2, and with no shame, given FaZe's #2 rank and G2's anemic performance against EcoBuys. But the crowd wanted nothing less than a win.
Guys, who is supporting G2 because of Stewie?
G-Stu pinned their hopes on Dust 2. The classic map had been recently reintroduced to the map pool, and the org had a long history of playing it. After a close first half, G2 needed to make up some ground and pull ahead on CT side. m0NESY started to heat up even more, and FaZe started to slow down their rounds.
m0NESY first, and he nails his shot. They cross on by. m0NESY a second, absolutely destroying the attack through short. Nexa keeping them pinned at long, and Stewie gets involved. Stewie comes in with that second headshot, and G2 swing right back.
And when NiKo followed suit, Dust 2 was liberated for America.
24 kills from m0NESY, dinked up. And NiKo is there to assist him from down lower. FaZe are not getting into this round. They are not going to be able to find success because the flank of Hunter's through, and G2 cut through FaZe on Dust 2.
Now, as their pick, Nuke should have favored FaZe, but they looked tilted, and G2 pressed them.
He could pull off a ridiculous clutch to push G2 into that 3-0 territory, and oh my goodness, why not? And with 30 seconds left, Stewie off the top hut, off the top rope, slams down the hammer on Brokey and Frozen, and Robs can do nothing about it. G2, 2 kills away.
They're so prepared for everything. They're so prepared for every push, every reaction. G2 with the stand-in has hit a flow state that FaZe can't handle, and that's it.
G-Stu were through to the semifinals, where a twisted reflection of their own run stared back at them. 9Z team were not favored to go deep at the event, but they'd proven themselves with wins over MOUZ, Liquid, and Vitality in groups, giving them a semifinal berth. The South American mixed team seemed game for G2's map pick, Inferno, and things were close up to the half with m0NESY and NiKo again leading the way in a tight one.
A right click, a jump, and go. It's well timed, and look at the damage m0NESY and NiKo show. m0NESY 3. You dare come to our domain? Get out of here, says m0NESY. Stewie primed and ready. It's the MP9 in Stewie's hands that once again finds impact. m0NESY will close, and G2 a convincing CT round. NiKo, this is the element of surprise, and he's going to provide. It's 3 out of NiKo. The multi-kills keep on coming, and G2 taking it regulation.
9Z had picked Dust 2. It had also been working for them, but it was G2 that took it home.
And Quasso Peak does not have the hair. Oh no!
The flag this
it's
time!
a disaster! Quasso Peak just needs to live, but from behind, m0NESY strikes! Buddha in the pit, about to be isolated. All of that util sent down. Stewie with an opening kill on the round.
Here comes the smoke.
Here he comes! Stewie through the smoke! It finds himself for 2K! Going to be anticipating this angle. Obscured by the smoke is Stu. Jumping up and gets himself another. Stuart 2000. He'll find the multi-kill to secure the grand finals. Martinez is the one to kick up a fuss, but they're not ready for Nexa. Turned on. Quasso Peak provides. Time sensitive. I don't see a kit, Chad. I do not see a kit. A 10-second defuse. I'm just good for it. But meditate all you want. You're going home.
The storyline didn't end here. G-Stu were through to the grand finals. But even with the crowd on their side, even with Stewie putting up clear impact rounds for the team as m0NESY and NiKo just popped off, it was still hard to believe that they could beat their next opponent. That's because it was Team Vitality waiting in grand finals. Vitality demolished G2 back in groups, and the looming grand finals rematch reminded everyone that it wasn't even close. This truly seemed like Vitality's tournament. But Stewie still believed.
Are you starting to feel more comfortable, more confident?
I think I saw a tweet that 5 years ago I won an event here. It feels the exact same.
With a crowd frantic for a win and clearly hostile to Vitality IGL Apex, G-Stu's last match together began with Inferno.
It's still only pistols on the 2 remaining Vitality players. One of the greatest players of all time in Counter-Strike, and he spots out his next victim of Flames on the balcony. NiKo thrives on the stage, thrives in this environment, and he could clutch straight away in this grand final. He's close to Flames and taps away. Never a doubt for NiKo.
G-Stu got off to an early lead, but Vitality caught up.
It has to be Stewie. It must be Stewie. And that defuse all the way stopped by Stewie2K. That draws the numbers back. Next to swings, lines up 2, but can't stop ZywOo. Important trade to come back from the right floor.
The route from Apex is everything. They're doing what they can to take attention away. It doesn't work.
Hunter's again, and it's all cleaned up for G2. It's a swing out from Monacy. One to drop Apex. That's G2 back on numbers. In fact, they're favored on numbers. We've got overtime. It is a story that will never end. G2 force us into the bonus rounds here in Dallas.
Overtime started disastrously, but Monacy again stepped up.
ZywOo creeping up, getting ever closer to Monacy. Absolutely fantastic from Monacy. The deadly hunter himself looks to dispatch of Mezzi. Now it is just ZywOo between him and G2's 17th round. Hunter stands in the middle of the site and he shows G2 all of his might. They send forward one of the most flashy players in all of Counter-Strike, and that's Stewie2K. He's got himself that headshot. Mezzi inside of the bomb site. Monacy brings him down.
Map 2 was Anubis, on which G2 had lost to Vitality. But G2 were feeling themselves, and Monacy was fragging like his life depended on it.
Oh, he's got a good timing. A really good timing.
Oh, shoulder peeking. Monacy gets close. That AK's got the first kill, and Flames couldn't stop it. Now they smoke off the fire. They go into the attack. Stewie, or rather ZywOo, fast towards heaven to bring down Nexus. Stewie has to respond with that big old dig. And Monacy's right on top of Fountain. And the flood of G2 players now coming into this site.
But Vitality came screaming back.
G2 have gone for the call. Nico charging in. Mezzi for the back of the platform is delivering a lot of impact. It's just Mezzi polishing his crown, and the king pulls him into his deadly embrace. It's yet another ace. Nico down to 6 health. Now Flames brings down Hunter, and now just Nico, the inferno of Flames. 12 rounds for Vitality, and they are looking down the barrel of map 3. Unless Stewie can have one of the most ridiculous moments in Counter-Strike history, we're heading to Nuke, and Vitality find their composure.
The decider was on Nuke, where G2 had absolutely crushed FaZe earlier in the bracket.
In fact, he's fixated upon that and now knows. He now knows that he has to be towards Hut. And Hunter, that defuse tap is a little worrying for him. He has to go into the open, and he maybe outplays himself. Mezzi with yet another moment for Vitality.
As the first half started to slip away, G2 suddenly turned a corner.
ZywOo comfortable in the clutch. Monacy, was he spotted? Oh my god, Monacy! He is an icon in motion! Stewie searching for this attack in. Vitality trying to remain composed. Flames gets that first entry. Stewie gets one from the back of the bomb site, but he's still standing. He just needs to delay. He's got Hunter up on top. Stewie's still alive. ZywOo hunting him down. And this would be one way for ZywOo to wake up in this final, but he can't stop Stewie.
Utility out up top.
Nico takes down Flames first. Second chance here for Nico. In the smoke, Hunter, he's touching the opponent, but G2, they're rolling right through, and a wondrous week ends with G2 as champions. Stewie is back home, and G2, for the first time this year, can call themselves champions.
G2 did it. After 2 years away from the game and on American soil, Stewie2K lifted a trophy once more.
The Intel Extreme Master Champions Dallas 2024, it's G2.
Nico fragged out while masterminding his team past some of the game's best IGLs.
You guys were the magic. You were our 6th player, and you guys pushed us over.
Monacy gave us another dominant performance, earning a deserved MVP award for his efforts.
Bro, I don't care, dude, like against who I played, bro. We just won the fucking IM Dallas. It's crazy.
And in front of a home crowd, one of NA's most successful CSGO players got something unexpected. Redemption in CS2.
I don't know what to say. I'm back! He's back!
It isn't exactly clear what this means for Stewie as of yet. Obviously, he was absolutely elated about the whole experience at first.
It's probably the best feeling ever. It's probably by far the best storyline I've had in my career. And I feel like I've been through hell for this shit, so I'm very grateful, I'm very thankful, honestly.
But shortly after Dallas, Stewie told Maui Snake a few insider details about his experience on G2, catching the community by surprise.
My experience playing with Hunter on the same site, like I try to suggest things where I feel like we get stuck within the round, and a lot of times he's open to hearing it and it's all agreed upon, but when the time comes, it's not being executed, it's not being ran or talked about, and we kind of just run off doing our own things and it looks very bad.
Still, Stewie couldn't deny that Dallas was a very special lightning in a bottle moment for him.
I really can't compare it to Boston. Like, this event was like one of a kind, to be honest. Like, I don't even think it matches up against Boston.
But whatever happens, the important thing is that this weird alternate G2 was the surprising way that Stewie got one more chance to ride into the sunset. The important thing is one more unbelievable run with the Smoke Criminal. That's what NA wanted. And for one tournament, it's what they got.
Thanks for watching. If you want more content like this, hit the sub button and ring the notification bell. For unique, bite-sized videos you won't find anywhere else, hit us up on our Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.